Welcome to episode 10 of Dynamically Spoken, the weekly Gil Mag podcast. As always, I'm joined by Ali and Jason. Do you want to say hey, guys?
Hi.
Hello.
So this is our last episode before the big patch rolls out, and as always, we're going to be looking at the major news from the last 7 days. But before that, I've just got one quick announcement. I'd like everyone who's listening now to check out the latest podcast from Chronicles of Tyria because they interviewed me. Yesterday we recorded it, and our very own Ali is a part of that, and it was a pretty fun show to do.
So it was very fun.
Yeah, it's well worth checking out. The link will be in the show notes.
So glad I was invited. Love you guys,
we exposed... Keep on speaking over each other. I would like to clarify. Such a goth. I would like to finish my sentence of exposed because I don't like saying he exposed 3 times without finishing it off. He exposed his deepest, darkest secret, so definitely go and check that out.
I did. So, as always, we'll do the news first with Jason. So, take it away.
There's so much to talk about this week, honestly. You guys better sit back, get that popcorn out. My god. Yeah, here we go. Okay, if you don't have enough room in your bank or your bag slots and bag tabs are 20% off till 26th of February. So, buy it. If not, just don't. There's also a new Guild Missions video out, which is basically a video about the Guild Missions, if you didn't guess. And also, we have quite a lot of details on Guild Missions. After, obviously, the interview with Colin that happened, and the official blog post that went up yesterday, I believe. There's a Guild Bounty mission, and a Guild Trek, and a Guild Challenge, and a Guild Rush where you get to chase chickens, and a Guild Puzzle. So, chicken races is the highlight of the news. And finally, obviously, there's that Colin Johansson lunch that we talked about. Well, I talked about for about 2 seconds. Yeah, everyone went for lunch with Colin Johansson, and we got some sweet, sweet details. And that is the news.
Hey.
You know it.
Just like to add to that, that you can save over 30% on Guild Wars 2 for a limited time. And I think this ends on the day this podcast comes out. So, yeah.
It's always the way, isn't it? It's always the way.
Okay, so I thought we'd start off with the official news post on the Guild Missions, because they've given a little bit more info that we didn't know before. Not a lot, but, a little bit. So we now know there's going to be 5 mission types, which is the Guild Bounty, Trek, Challenge, Rush, and Puzzle. Go through what each one is quickly. So Guild Bounty is basically your guild is tasked with tracking down and capturing various targets for the orders. Guild Trek, basically the Tyrian Explorer Society has a challenge for you. Find the list of locations before the time runs out. We have Guild Challenge, which is these challenges leverage our existing event system but are specifically geared to require multi-group coordinated play to succeed. Guild Rush, where basically test your skills with a mad dash over harrowing terrain, traps and other hidden dangers. Just remember there's safety in numbers. And finally the Guild Puzzle, puzzle and jumping challenge all in one. And it requires basically multi-group coordination, as well as individual jumping skills to get to the treasure at the end. Ooh.
We're screwed. We're all screwed.
I'm looking forward to the jumping puzzles for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from looking at the video, it actually looks like they've put quite a lot of work into the whole thing, especially the jumping puzzle aspect of it.
Yeah, it looks like they've created new areas in the game, because I have not seen some of those areas before, specifically the one with the Ascalonian statues with glowing weapons and the Labyrinth. Yeah. I've never seen them before.
I thought they were puzzles that I hadn't seen until that massive maze one came up, and I was like, yeah, this is new. Wait, unless it was the one in Lion's Arch, where you have to go... I'm not sure.
No, definitely not that one.
I'm glad we covered that.
The first thing I've noticed, I've just picked up on, is the Guild Challenge is essentially where a large group of people basically need to coordinate to succeed some sort of challenge, as the name suggests.
So good.
But to me, it's looking like it could be a lot. It could be pretty difficult to coordinate if you're in such a large group. So I'm not sure how that's going to work. in the real world?
Voice chat.
Well, yeah, not every guild has voice chat, obviously.
The bounty hunt is the first one that comes out, like, how you have to work up influence points to release it. It's the first one that comes out, so you would think that it would be very, how would you say, like, noob friendly?
Well, I mean, it does seem that way, because it seems just a lot like the current events where you just kept tasked with killing someone, basically.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it doesn't seem that much.
I have to wonder, like, at what point did, like, the Orders become some sort of vigilante murder group? Like, right, everyone, right, I want you to kill this guy. Don't ask questions, just do it. I mean, yeah.
One thing I have got to admit is the guild rush looks cool, especially since you can be like a chicken. I think, was that a wolf in the video as well?
Spirit wolf, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they made it look exciting, but I have to wonder about the lasting appeal of being a chicken. But it does look quite fun, or at least it will be for like the first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
It looks like they've taken notes from Roller Derby or Beetle Derby in Guild Wars 1?
Roller Beetle Racing.
That's it. Yeah. It looks like essentially the same thing.
I've never heard of that.
Haven't played Guild Wars 1 recently.
One thing I have noticed is in the video they actually don't show anything about Guild Trek. There's no mention of it at all. I think that's a little bit odd, maybe.
Well, I think like if they did that, it would just be like a picture of a person standing on top of a hill, like, I did it. I don't know how much of that they could show.
You see, yeah, that's my worry. Guild Trek to me doesn't seem more that exciting. I don't know, other people who quite like exploring might disagree.
Stress me out.
Yeah.
I have quite a few people in my guild who are excited for the Guild Trek because they really enjoy that exploring. And in the same way, I think it would be like a scavenger hunt that we had for Halloween. Like, they'd give us clues and you had to remember where the area was, except they just tell you where the area you have to go for this one. And like you have to try and remember where it is.
Awards.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. That's
anything
all I can think of. Well, I just want the one that lets you have like cheaper map travel because.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
But like, what's it going to be like? Oh, you get to lose. You don't have to spend like 2 copper less. Hooray! It's like, oh my god, it's going to save me millions.
Are these guild merits? Are they guild wide or do you get them personally?
I think you get both.
Both. Yeah. It says at the end you can earn personal rewards and you'll earn personal rewards, but then you'll also earn guild merits for that the guild can spend as a whole.
You see, to me it just seems like they're introducing more and more different currencies into the game. That at some point you've just got to say when you're going to stop, because guild merits influence karma, gold, gems, what are those daily things? Laurels. That's 6 that I've counted so far.
I think it would have been better if they added sort of like, instead of just creating guild merits, they maybe sort of just made it like an influence thing, and then you could basically just spend the influence on these same rewards.
Yeah, because
although that'd make it broader and encourage people less to actually do the content, I guess, in a way.
Oh, I don't know, because I mean, if you had it just got influence, you then have to choose between do you spend it on a reward or do you spend it on unlocking the next sort of guild mission type of thing, which I think would be, for me personally, I think that'd be an interesting sort of which way do we go. Because I think that would involve the guild a lot more as well, in like the whole decision making. I'm just waffling now.
Very good. I just want to point out how happy the Char looks in the picture at the end of that blog post. So look at him. You've got like a Silvari with a mustache. So
I haven't noticed that before.
And then sort of the Chars in the background just going, look at me, I'm in the air.
Alright then, should we move on to this whole Q&A lunch thing?
Sure.
Sounds good.
I wasn't really expecting you to say no, so...
No, I demand that we do not do it.
Alright, so there were quite a few people went. We had Will from Distilled Willpower go on behalf of Guild Mag, because unfortunately I couldn't make it.
You have just lost the opportunity of a lifetime, my friend.
I know, I was... Okay, so on the guildmag.com website we have a summary of the Q&A that went on, because a lot of other fan sites have got the whole transcript if that's what you prefer, but we've just kind of thought, why bother doing that? We'll just, summarise all the good points about it. And it's actually just, a thumbs up to Will for doing that, because he's done a really good job on it. But the big question is, did we actually get any new information? And there's a bit of a debate going on about this. There's little tidbits, but I wouldn't say there's anything massive.
It's more them letting us know, like, we talk about something, they're like, yeah, we like it, we might do it. Like, no promises, just like, yes, we're going to do it, or no, we're not going to do it, that kind of thing. But when they say yes, it's like a 50-50 chance whether they're actually going to do it.
It seems to be just like, there is a plan for a plan. But
Yeah.
We'll talk about that next year.
One thing that's really big was the Ascalonian Catacombs revamp.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
I stole your thunder.
Is it just for that dungeon? What
for now, yeah. They're like starting on that dungeon. They've said that they want to roll it out to every other dungeon in time.
It's always
in time. They've also stated that they're doing the same thing to some of the open world champions, and that they want to look as well. Like they've said every veteran and champion in the game they want to take a look at and revamp if they can.
Please fix Zaitan. Why couldn't they start with that one?
I think we're just going to have to live with that one, to be honest.
I don't think it's going to change.
Yeah. I think if they did change it now, the people who already done it would be a little bit miffed off. Like, oh, we had to play through the crap version. Why do these people get the good one?
I think they have a lot of stuff that they'd rather focus on than that, because Zaitan is pretty crappy.
Yeah.
But it's kind of one of those things that it would be such a big project to change. So might as well just do all the other little things that they can do in the meantime.
If they're going to undertake a big project like that, I'd rather they just moved on to another dragon. I think ones like Kralkatorrik are a bit more exciting than Zaitan, personally.
Definitely.
Okay, so another thing that I'm just literally going to go through the whole summary post now on Guildmag and pick out things. Another thing that we got from it is there will be guild missions taking place in South Sun Cove. I think that was one of my questions, actually, that I asked if anything was going to happen there, so you can all thank me for that.
We did see that in the guild missions. There was a guild mission going on it was a massive, like, Corker guild mission, so I was like, hooray, but then I was like, no, I'm going to have to kill myself.
So, yeah, they have stated that there are plans for content for there, but are they going to do more than guild missions there, do you think? Or are they just going to go, oh, we've done that, let's leave it there?
Yeah, it's weird to add South Sun Cove and then just leave it. That's a very weird thing to do. Because it's got, but they said that they want to, for the whole year, they're just going to basically revamp the game, like polishing. So, if anything in the game needs polishing, it would be South Sun Cove.
Yeah.
It just feels like we're not going to get like any sort of new zones or major altering to zones until all of this is over. And by the time all of this is over, I'd be expecting an expansion to be sort of on the way. So it's kind of it's odd that they sort of make the commitment in the first place, but then sort of forget about it.
Yeah, then it's very odd.
Okay, so the next thing that I've picked up is they are working on making precursors to legendaries a lot more accessible, which I know will please quite a lot of people.
Definitely. I love that. Yeah. I love that they're saying they're looking for a way to ensure that there's 100% way to obtain a precursor, which will really drop the precursor prices so much.
Hopefully by the time this rolls around they'll have everything else, so could time well.
And they've also said they're going to add more legendaries once they've got this whole precursor thing sorted as well, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, definitely. I think there needs to be a bit more variety. Like, we've got quite a lot of silly ones, but we need really serious, like, really scary, serious ones now.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, the legendary, is it the longbow that's the unicorny one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, shortbow, sorry.
Oh, yeah, so I think for a lot of people who are turned off by that. As you know, personally for me, I'd love to have it, but for a lot of people who want something a bit more badass.
I feel like it can be hard sometimes to make something in Guild Wars 2 feel really badass, because it's sort of like, it's like the game, in my opinion, suffers slightly from occasionally not knowing what it is. That makes sense? It's like, it can be badass, it tries to be badass sort of in the latter end of the story, but then sort of like in the earlier parts, it just seems very sort of, or in some personal stories at least, just a bit sort of, ha ha.
Yeah.
A little silly.
We talk about this all the time, like, I think it's because at the start it's a lot like, I love playing new characters. I have tons of characters, and like none of them are really above 35 plus, except for my main, and it's because the starting levels are so much more fun. Like, they're silly and whimsical, and they're a lot of fun, where I find later on it's just really serious and epic. But it would be wonderful if it was epic if it was my story. And the reason that I don't like playing the personal story later on is because of the age-old thing, Traherne, yada yada yada. We've all heard that story. But you know, I don't like. The start is more whimsical and fun, but it's my story, and I enjoy that intensely a lot more.
I think that's sort of why, like, the main audience can be sort of, like, cut into, like, two groups, where sort of, like, the people who don't want that will stop playing, the people who do will stick around and then be disappointed at the end, or there'll be people like me who stick through, and then they're still disappointed at the end because they then can't take it seriously anyway.
I think the game... You hate it, but you spend time out of your week to do a podcast about it and talk about it. It's like when people say, "Oh, you're bashing on it." I'm like, we wouldn't be doing this podcast if we didn't love the game. I'm hoping that they kind of learn from it with the living story. But one interesting thing that came out from this lunchtime interview with Colin Johansson was that he said it's more a TV story. It's not a TV story. It's TV series. You know, you come back checking each week for updates and learn more about your characters and get interested in the characters. It's not so much of a game. For us, you know, we participate in it, but ultimately it's not our story. Which is interesting in one way, that they're kind of branching into this entertainment section of the game, where they're trying to entertain you with this story, which is something that they've definitely tried to do within the whole game, but then also taking the power away from us that we don't really have any influence. I think it's going to disappoint people.
So I just painted the image of a TV show in my head, like every week and log into the game. It's like, this week on the living story. That is actually kind of what it feels like, in a sense.
Yeah, except
I mean, I know they're going for that, but it removes sort of, in a sense, any sort of connection, moral connection,
exactly,
or anything like that.
Exactly. Like, if the characters aren't compelling enough, and since they're adding Traherne, I kind of am doubting that they're going to be compelling enough. The danger is, if they're not compelling enough, it's just going to fall flat on its face. They're going to really make sure that we really enjoy the characters and that we like the characters enough if our participation really means nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it can be done. I've played quite a few games recently where I wasn't participating in the story, but the story really got to me because of the characters. And I'm just hoping that they basically can do that, even though it's not our story.
Yeah. Well, they've definitely proved that they can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, there's one thing that I've forgotten, because it happened so early on in the game's launch, but it was around level 13 of my Safari storyline, and it had me on the edge of my street. Street?
A bit intense.
The whole village came out to watch. I was on the edge of my seat, just screaming at the screen with my guildies, and we're like, no, they can't do that, no. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who happens to pick up the storyline, but yeah, they can definitely do that, just because it was a character-centric storyline that didn't really involve me, so they do have the ability to do that.
One thing that comes to my mind is I played. I'm gonna leave all the spoilers out, but there's a Azura character, and she's, I think, her name is Ellie or something like that, but she's really, really bright and fun, and her personality is so original, and I got very much sucked into her personality, and the part that she plays in the story is way too short in my opinion. She should have been a main character. She should have been in the what's it called, the Destiny's Edge group. But she's very fun, and I really enjoyed her, and she has really neat mechanics. And I really was sad that she had gone, and she was a very compelling character, and they expand on her story a bit. But then I replayed as a Sylvari, and I discovered that in the Sylvari personal story, she comes back. Like, she's got a part in it earlier on. So like I felt really rewarded for playing different storylines, because I found something about this character that I really loved, and it really puts in a lot of replayability. So it's proof that they can really make you emotionally invested in characters.
Yeah, I think the emotional investment is again split between the sort of two halves of the story, the sort of the starting part and like the sort of ending part with Drahern and the Pact and stuff like that. Because the first like couple of levels or dozen of levels really have those characters, or most of them do, but they sort of tail off, and as you said, they aren't really involved whatsoever in the grand scheme of things, which is a shame, because if they were, it'd make sort of the sort of entertaining aspect of the story a little bit more consistent and enjoyable.
Yeah.
We are getting like to the end already. There's one more thing I did want to mention that we probably should have mentioned earlier when we were doing guild missions. But one thing that we did learn from the Q&A is that guild missions will be tiered. So basically you'll have like tier 1 will be easier than, say, I think he said like 3 tiers at the moment they've got. So obviously the higher tier will be harder. You'll need more, possibly more people, more coordination to complete it. And I think this answers our question that we asked last episode, if these missions will have to scale to the number of people involved. So I think it's going to be more from a point of view of you kind of like set the difficulty and then see how we go.
Yeah, I think they might sort of, if a guild wants to go hard, like for a hard difficulty and it's a coordinated challenge, and then you have people in the open world coming in scaling it up but doing everything really badly. It could it could go bad, but then again, it's something we have to wait and see.
And one of the quote is, all guild missions are tiered, that there are up to 3 tiers. Tier 1 missions might only include killing 3 enemies across 3 zones, and should be easily doable by 10 to 15 players, whereas high tiered involve 5 enemies across 5 zones and require a significant amount of coordination, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
I hope that's coordination in the fight, though, and they're not saying, oh yeah, having 5 enemies and 5 zones is coordinated.
Oh, I doubt, yeah. Hopefully it's group coordination.
Yeah.
But I wonder how they're going to do it with the party system, only being allowed to have 5 people. It doesn't really help for coordinate. I can't even say it now. I'm giving up.
I suppose
coordinated, carry on.
The only way I can think to get around it is to have like one officer or maybe like in each party and lead like 4 other people. But then that just seems like pretty tedious.
They should maybe have a commander icon that is like the guild leader or something like that, can turn it on during events or something like that.
Or maybe just a guild mission chat that anyone can join into who's doing the mission.
Alrighty, do you two have any other major things you'd like to share?
My unicycle arrived, so...
Really?
No, definitely not. I don't believe I can be trusted with something like that.
I just felt like going, wow, that joke got really deep and fiery.
One thing to note is Casey did ask about Colin's goatee, and she did have the question answered.
Yes. So I asked him, how does he keep his goatee perfectly manicured like he does? And he says that his goatee isn't as perfectly manicured as it appears in promos. It all depends on the amount of sword swinging the night before.
Alright, I think that about wraps it up then. Well, thanks for listening to this episode. Remember, You can comment and leave feedback using the comment system, funnily enough, and podcast@guildmag.com.
We have a comment system.
Wait, what do you use a comment system for?
Mom, you won't believe this!
podcast@guildmag.com is the email if you want to send anything, basically. And you can also tweet us. All the thingies will be in the show notes. And you can now contact us on Facebook as well, because I've kind of got our whole Facebook page going again. And that's about it from myself, Ali, and Jason. So I guess we'll see you next week.
Guilded by Craig. Innovative ways to contact us since 2013. Goodbye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
I just threw up in my mouth. Excellent.
Cut it out.